Hi everyone, welcome to ACE, the virtual career fair. So you can get ready for the upcoming career and internship fairs we are hosting here at UMass Amherst. My name is Erin Charwadi and I'm the Assistant Director of the CNS Career Center here on campus. I want to encourage you to put your questions in the chat, make this as interactive as possible. So please let me know whatever questions you have in order that this can be as effective for all of you as it is. As you all know, the university has decided that all career fairs are remote this year, following all of our safety COVID protocols. We know this looks a little different for you all, but our goal continues to be to connect you all as students with employers and companies so that you can get the internships and full-time positions that you need. I have a quick poll, just 2 questions, just so I know, I'm going to launch it here. Just 2 questions so I know where you all stand as far as your internship plans for this year in career fairs. Just take another minute just to answer those 2 questions for me would be great. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. It looks like none of you have attended a career fair before. I had even in person, which totally makes sense because it's now been 1.5 years since we've had in-person career fairs. And interest in both the Boston area internship fair and the psychology career fair. So that's great. We're going to end that poll. And those are our results. Okay. As I mentioned before, please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat or unmute yourself. You can put, if you don't want to share them in the public chat, you can also put them just to myself, just choose me, and I'm happy to answer questions you have. So what is a career fair? A career fair is twofold. It helps both the employers who are coming to recruit on campus and you all, the students who are, of course, our priority. So for employers, they like coming to campus for career fairs, either virtually or in person, because it gives them the opportunity to meet students, those students who will be, obviously, you are the future of their industries, right? And you are going to be their colleagues, and if not soon, then in a couple of years. It's their chance to gather resumes. Some of them have existing jobs and internships available. Some of them are just looking to meet students for the future so that when they do have positions available, you know about them, you know about the company, and it gives them a good opportunity to market their organization to hire you all, the talented students. And for students, not only can you get current internships and jobs right now, it also gives you the opportunity to find different information about a career or in a field and different opportunities within those fields. So you may have heard of some of the larger companies that come to our career fairs, but some of the smaller companies that are more in niche fields are new to you, and this gives you the opportunity to learn more about different opportunities and fields. So today we are going to learn about what happens at a career fair, kind of understand that recruiting process, both for internships and jobs, and how to get prepared to make the most out of those upcoming virtual career fairs. So nerves are normal. We get that. We know it can be nerve-wracking to attend a career fair and virtually and talk to employers. But I loved this quote from one of our recruiters who came to one of our fall career fairs saying, you know, I'm excited to meet students and have answer questions. They don't expect you, they want you to obviously be as professional as you can be. This is definitely the time to put your best foot forward, but they are just as excited to meet you as you are to nervous or excited to meet them. No one comes back, no one starts a job as a recruiter and comes back to campus unless they like working with college students and they like recruiting, and they want to encourage you to look at their company or organization. So this goes both ways, and just keep in mind that the more prepared you are, the more relaxed you'll be, and how work much better for you. All right, so what about a virtual career fair? All of our career fairs so far this year have been held on a software app called Career Fair Plus. So I'm going to go over that today. However, we also have a career fair coming up this week called the Boston Area Internships Fair, which will be held on the Mount Ida campus. That's going to be using Handshake, and that's new for us. It is very intuitive. It is very simple. It's very similar to Career Fair Plus, but I'm going to bounce back a little bit today to go through Career Fair Plus and Handshake. Again, both are very similar, but it's different opportunities for both. So this is how we're on Handshake. This Wednesday's Boston Area Internship Fair is going to be hosted on Handshake. The Just-in-Times job fair, which is full-time positions for seniors, full-time job opportunities, and the psychology career fair, which are both later this month, or I guess in next April, still next month, we have 2 more days. Those are going to be held on Career Fair Plus. So again, I'm going to go over both of those processes. Very similar, but there are a little bit of differences between the two. So to get started on Career Fair Plus, there is an app that you can use on your phone for Career Fair Plus. We do encourage you to actually do your meetings with employers on your laptop or iPad because the camera is just more stable. It's just better that way and you can control it a little more. But you can also set up your meetings and set up your profile and upload your resume and everything on your app if you'd like to do that. So I'm going to give you a quick demo of how Career Fair Plus works first, and then I will do Handshake. So I'm actually going to change my screen to show you Career Fair Plus. So in order to do Career Fair Plus, did it change to the internet? I'm assuming, can I get a thumbs up from someone? Okay, we're going to see when it switched. Okay, so when you go to app.careerfairplus.com, if you search in the app for the word Amherst, you can also search University of Massachusetts, but it's easier to type in Amherst because we're the only one of the local colleges using it. You can see if you click on UMass, just in the chat, it has not switched yet. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. So we will stop sharing here. Okay, now I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay, so now it is on. Oops. Okay, so now when you are on the Career Fair Plus website, you want to go type in the word Amherst, and it will take you to UMass Amherst, and you'll see there are 2 different fairs here, the Just-in-Time Virtual Fair and the Virtual Psychology Fair. The nice thing about Career Fair Plus too is you also have access to past fairs. So if you happen to be a public health student or you're interested in some of the organizations that came from public health, you can click on this past website, see which companies came, and you can still reach out to those organizations. Some of you, especially if you're psychology majors, a lot of psychology related companies came to the public health fair as well. The Broad Institute, which has awesome research opportunities for all students, City Year, you can still reach out here, type in the organization, and you can see who the recruiter is. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and learn about the jobs that they come and hire on campus. But for future fairs, you want to click on the fair. So let's say this Just-in-Time virtual fair that's in 2 weeks, and you'll be able to see the different organizations that are coming. You can type on, for example, Bay State Community Services, and you can see what type of companies, what type of company they are, what type of jobs they're hiring for, and the majors they're recruiting. If we type on AmeriCorps here, you can see that they have a meeting already set up. You cannot sign up for meetings quite yet. Up here it says booking window not open. You do have to register on the app ahead of time, and then once the booking window opens, you can make appointments. This one is April 7th at 9. But you can see they have time slots available. They still have 11 time slots available to meet with the recruiter. So if you clicked on here, if this was a company you're interested in meeting with, you could, once that window does open on April 7th, you can reserve a 10-minute time slot. You cannot do 2 10-minute slots in a row because they want to make sure that if something goes over, you have a chance, either you or the recruiter have a chance to get to your next meeting on time. Some organizations do also, in addition to their one-on-one meetings, which are just 10 minutes meetings, you could also do a group meeting. This is more like an info session, or if you have been to an in-person career fair where they're just tables set up in a room, or think of it as a majors fair or even a club fair that they have back when we were in person full-time in the Mullen Center or in the Student Union, they'd have club fairs where you could just go set up a table, or even a college fair when you were in high school. They have group sessions where you can just stop in, you can ask questions, very low pressure too. So some of these will also have group sessions. Let's see if any of these do. Yep, so the Howard Center here, they not only have individual time slots, if you know you want to talk one-on-one with a recruiter, they also have group sessions, and that can be a really effective way to learn about an organization if you're not quite sure how you want to do that. Another great way is if you really are interested in an employer and you want to learn more, sign up for a group session and then sign up for an individual session later in the day. That'll give you the opportunity to hear the group session, learn more about them, and then build that one-on-one relationship with the recruiter. For Handshake, this Handshake is very similar But again, you're doing that within Handshake. So if you go to Handshake, you can see if you go to, let's go to your basic Handshake page, right? If you click on events, whoops, I typed in career paths. You click on events, either up on the top right or in that one of those big tabs in the middle. You can see the upcoming career fairs. Some of these are out till September, so that's probably not the way you want them to look. If you sort by date, that will bring up the most recent. So if we want to search for, and that has your events, then click on career fair. So the Boston area internships fair, you can see I already saved it by clicking on this little tab. So if you click on that fair, you can then go in here, see who are the organizations that are coming. It gives you instructions exactly how I walked you through Career Fair Plus. It's going to be very similar on Handshake. Click on available sessions, and this will tell you who the employers are and what openings they have. So this will tell you how to walk through that. You can see, for example, Northwestern Mutual has one-on-one individual sessions and a group session. So you can do either of those. So that's just a really quick overview of Handshake and Career Fair Plus. They're both really intuitive. So I really encourage you to take a look at those, sign up for meetings, and figure out who you want to meet with, and then sign up for those organizations. Okay, so let's get back to, did it switch over to Career Fair Plus? Or did it switch over to the PowerPoint where it says get set up on Career Fair Plus? All right, we are going to, let's skip to the next one. So I just showed you how to get set up on Handshake. You will also get an email giving you details once you register for the fair in Handshake, or in Career Fair Plus, you'll get an email. You'll also get an email confirming your appointments so that you can click on those links then to make appointments once it comes time to have your meetings. Okay, I'm just going to show a really quick, less than 2-minute video. Let me just make sure I have my sound. This will show you a really quick overview of how Career Fair Plus works.
Hey everyone, this is Chris from Career Fair Plus, here to show you how you can host a virtual fair in the Career Fair Plus app. As you can see here, I've set up a demo virtual fair. From here, I can jump in and look at employer details just like in an in-person fair. If I decide I want to talk to an employer, I just tap the Virtual Appointments button to view their schedules. As you can see, employers can have multiple schedules. I'll select the schedule I want, and I can see the details about the schedule, including prerequisites and information about who I'll be talking to. I can also see what times are available to speak with this employer. I just select a time that works best for me, tap yes, and my appointment has been booked. If this is the first time I'm booking an appointment, I may be prompted to log in or to create an account where I can add information about my major, GPA, and upload a resume. After I book my appointment, I see some additional instructions appear. This lets me know how I will get in touch with the recruiter during my scheduled time. As you can see here, it's telling me to join the Career Fair Plus video chat by tapping the link. At the time of my appointment, I just tap the link and I'll be brought to the video chat. I first need to select that I want to use video, and then I'll be given the chance to preview what I look like before knocking to request to be admitted to the meeting room. When the recruiter receives a knock request, they can see a preview of my camera and decide either to let me in or respond by putting me on hold, which lets me know they'll get to me shortly. If the recruiter accepts my knock, I'll be led into the meeting room for my appointment. After we're done talking, all I need to do is tap the leave button and I'm done. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Any questions on that so far and how those work online? Okay, pretty basic. It's pretty intuitive, especially for those of you who have now become Zoom experts by default. Very similar to that. You can meet one-on-one with those recruiters or those group ones, as I mentioned. So a couple of things you want to do before you go to the career fair. If you are going to the internship fair this week, definitely as soon as possible, register for that fair and start booking those appointments to make sure you get what you want. Because as you saw, there are a limited amount of appointments for each employer. If for some reason you cannot get one of those employers, feel free to email them or reach out to the contact listed on that company and let them know you're interested in talking with them, but you weren't able to make an appointment. You can also copy your resume. And if there's a cancellation, that way they may be able to reach out to you to see if you're interested in that slot. We've also had other employers who, if their slots have filled up, they have been more than willing to meet with students at a different time or before or after the fair as well. So if there is an employer or organization you're really interested in talking to, make sure to take that extra step and reach out to them. But we definitely encourage you again to download the either Career Fair Plus app or Handshake. Make sure you sign up, and then start. What we're going to talk about next is what you're going to do as your process. Research the attending employers, make sure that you figure out who you want to meet with, attend a career fair prep workshop, which is where you are right now, schedule those meetings with the employers, and then make sure you test everything ahead of time. And we're going to talk about how you can prep and what questions you can ask those employers too. So a couple tips, make sure you're using a laptop if possible, just to make sure again that it is more, it's just more stable. We have found with Career Fair Plus that Chrome and Firefox work better. Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge aren't supported, and Safari has had a couple issues. When you register for the fair, make sure when you're signing up and registering, you use your umass.edu email address, because Career Fair Plus gives priority to UMass students. And obviously with Handshake, you have to use your UMass email address, and include your phone number as a backup. We have had a couple cases. We've done, I think we've done 13 career fairs this semester alone. And we've had a couple employers who have technology issues or their firewalls give them trouble with Career Fair Plus, and they've had to actually do phone calls instead of their video calls. So make sure your phone number is included on your resume and on your profile. All right. You can also upload your resume. That way the recruiter will have your resume before you talk to them. You can write your resume. If you want to make changes to it, you can put a new resume in and it will overwrite your original one. Or if worst comes to worst and you haven't had a chance to do your resume, just bring it with you and offer to email it to them when you're meeting with the recruiter. We also really encourage you to test your links and join the meeting button before the fair day. Occasionally we'll have people, especially older versions of iPads, will need to download some software. It just takes a minute. There's an app called Whereby that's listed down there in at tab 6 there. So it only takes a minute, but you don't want to be trying to get into your meeting and run late because you have not tested the Whereby. Okay. So when you are ready to sign up for meetings, look at the list of companies coming. Think broadly, look at who's there and think, okay, so as a psychology major or as a B&B major, what companies could I meet with who might have open internships or roles for me? Take some time to research them. You can look on their website. All of them have their websites linked. You can go to their website. You can look on LinkedIn, Google them, find out about news about their company, their mission. You know that if they're recruiting at UMass, they are legitimate. They're good companies that we encourage you to check out. And then you want to sign up for those meetings, right? And as we mentioned, some of them will have walk-in meeting availability in the form of group meetings. You do still need to register on Career Fair Plus and Handshake for those career fairs. And we encourage you to register ahead of time for those group meetings as well. But you can also do those. You can sign up for the group meetings last minute, but you do have to register within the system. You can again decide on those group meetings once you are ready to meet with a recruiter. You can then choose whether you want to do individual or group meetings. This is an example how it looks in Career Fair Plus. You can see over on the right, there's one time slot available here for this one. This was the career blast we actually had last month. There was one time slot left. And in Handshake, it looks like this, where you see there's an option for either group session or individual meetings as well. So when you are researching those companies, some of the fairs this spring are a little bit smaller. The psychology fair does already have 35 employers coming to it. You're not going to be able to see all 35 employers. It's just not physically possible. So identify those top 5 or 10 companies you want to look at, right? So go through the list. There isn't actually, when you are in Career Fair Plus and in Handshake, there's a printable version of the companies you can look at. You can also go online. Some of them have Handshake profiles listed with the jobs that are available. So you can get an idea of whether they are available for internships or jobs, depending on what you're looking for. And then research them. Start with their website, as I mentioned. See what the opportunities are. What are the services? What is the growth potential? What's the mission of the company? You want to make sure that it fits what you're looking for, that you'll be happy there. And then make sure that once you put this all together, write it down, because you may think that you'll remember it, but once you're on company 10, they're all going to blur together. So write it index cards or in a notebook or on Google Sheets, and make sure that that's something you can really quickly look at before you actually meet with each of these individual companies. So then once you've figured out who you want to meet with, set up those meetings, get your schedule all done. And then what do you say to them, right? How will you advocate for yourself when you're meeting with them? This can be a really intimidating to think of meeting a recruiter and talking about yourself. And as I mentioned in one of those really early slides, they're really excited to meet you. They don't want you to be nervous. They don't want you to be intimidated, but I know it's something that comes naturally in some ways. So an elevator pitch is also really, if you think about it, it's just a simple way to answer that question, tell me about yourself. It's a brief way to get the conversation going. So for example, in Career Fair Plus, the individual meetings are set up to be 10 minutes long by default. Some recruiters can make those a little bit longer or shorter, but usually they keep them at 10 minutes. And for some people, that's really quick and easy. For other people, that sounds like a really, really long time to talk for 10 minutes to someone you've just met. So the more you're prepared to speak about yourself and how you might be able to connect yourself to the company, the easier that conversation is going to be. So whether it is in person or virtual, having an elevator pitch or really just an answer to that question of tell me about yourself and who are you and why would you be a good person to interview for a role in this company? This is your way to be able to advocate for yourself. So maybe you've practiced your answers to tell me about yourself, or maybe you've only heard it called an elevator pitch, but it's essentially the same thing. And it's important to have one prepared. You don't want it to be memorized. You want it to sound natural. But the more you are prepared to talk about yourself and just one or two good things about yourself and what you're proud of, the more you'll be ready anytime you're in a networking situation, right? So pretty basic. They allow you to quickly share who you are, what you do, and your goal for the interaction, right? So let them know, are you looking for an internship? Are you looking for a full-time job? Or are you just exploring careers? It helps you to establish new relationships, connections, industry. It's also just a good way to break the ice. So I'm going over this with the frame of, the lens of looking at it for this career fair, but an elevator pitch can be a really useful tool to have anytime you're networking. So if you see some grad students who are at the bus stop talking about a lab you might be interested in working in, this is your chance to go in and talk to them and say, excuse me, I overheard you talking about this neuroscience lab that you both work in. I'm a junior psychology major looking for a position in a neuroscience lab. I've had A, B, and C. I'd love to talk to you more about that. It just gives you a chance to break the ice and reach out to people. So an effective elevator pitch is not a really long, huge speech. It's 30 seconds long, right? It just a couple things about yourself. It's interesting, so they learn more about you and just kind of breaks the ice. You want it to be professional, but it's also a good way to make that conversation flow. It's not a speech. It is just a conversation opener. So a good elevator pitch, or again, the way that you're going to introduce yourself to these recruiters at the career fair, 20 to 30 seconds, that's all it is. Your name, your class and major, your interest, any relevant information, internship activities. If you don't have any relevant employment or internships, because we know with COVID this year, 90% of you didn't get employment or internships or research opportunities, unfortunately, because they weren't available, then use your education. I'm gonna have an example for that in a second. Talk about any particular skills you have that you think might make you a good candidate for that internship or job. And then have a conclusion, an open-ended question to further that conversation. If you just do a speech and recite information about yourself to someone new, that person may say, okay, great, nice to meet you, and walk away. But if you end that with an open-ended question, it helps that conversation flow and shows you're also interested in hearing from them. And again, at any point, if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in and let me know. So here's an example of an elevator pitch that you could use at a career fair. Hi, my name is Erin. I'm a junior environmental science major here at UMass. I have experience as a lab assistant working in National Forest Survey and lab work in bio and chem and geology, geology fieldwork. In addition, I'm skilled in ArcGIS and I work as a tutor to help middle school students learn GIS. I'd love to talk to you about your summer internship opportunity. Can you tell me what skills would make an excellent intern for this position? 20 seconds long. It doesn't tell your whole life story. It doesn't tell everything in your resume. It just gives little bits and pieces about yourself and your experience. So what if you don't have experience, right? And that's something obviously we're hearing more and more this year. Here's an example of what you could do if you didn't have that experience. Same beginning and ending, just change that middle part a little bit to use your coursework that shows that you've been able to learn you've learned the material, you just need the chance to apply it. So same example here. I'm hoping to get internship experience next summer to apply the skills I've learned in my lab classes in chemistry and geology. I'm learning ArcGIS and would love the chance to use it in fieldwork. Can I hear about your internship program? So those are those types of things that breaks the ice. And believe it or not, those 10 minutes will go really quickly. Recruiters are skilled in talking to you. They want to learn about you. They want to know about your experience. And they're also going to take some time to explain to you what that internship or job position entails as well. Any questions about elevator pitches to start? Okay, my biggest tip with elevator pitches are to practice. Again, you don't want this to be a forced formal speech. You really want it to just be a couple things about yourself that you can open that conversation, let them know your background and who you are and why you're interested in this position. So in addition, though, they will also probably say, what questions do you have for me? Or if, because this is a give and take back and forth conversation, you should have some questions for them about the company. So here are some questions to have ready, for each of the recruiters that you talk to when you are doing these meetings. If you want to screenshot this would be a good one to screenshot so that you have an idea of some of these questions. You can also find a lot of these online if you're researching that. But show your interest in the position. Can you tell me more about this position? How have top candidates distinguished themselves? What are some of the biggest challenges? What's the day-to-day like? What's typical? And then also show interest in the recruiter. They clearly work there and they like working there, or they wouldn't be pulling other people into the company. So ask them what they like working for the company, or what their career background is, and how they got their start in the company. Those two bolded bullets at the very end are really important to end that meeting. What are the next steps if I want to pursue this? And is it okay if I follow up and reach out? So many times I've met with students a couple of days after the career fair, and they'll tell me, I really, really liked this company. And I'll say, okay, great, what's next? And they'll say, I don't know, I guess I just wait for them. So waiting is okay. Sometimes they will say, we'll reach out to you. But they may also say, if you're interested, let us know. Send us another email in a week or two. So it's always good to know and finalize those next steps of what you could do when you're meeting with employers. So these are just some samples. Obviously, as you're doing your own research in the companies, have an idea of what you're going to ask them. So if you are really specifically interested if the position has travel opportunities, ask that. If you want to know about growth, if you want to know about education opportunities, professional development, this is your chance to have a one-on-one meeting with a recruiter. And these are not interviews. That's really important. I should have mentioned that earlier. These are just meetings. They can lead to interviews. And some companies occasionally will treat them as a first interview, kind of a screening interview. But in general, this is just a one-on-one opportunity for you to meet with a recruiter at a company in your field to hear more information about it. And then this can lead to formal interviews later. So this is your chance to ask those questions that you have. A couple questions to avoid. What does your company do? That immediately shows that you haven't done your research and you have no idea who they are. Do not just sign up for interviews just to get, meetings. Do not just sign up for meetings just to get experience with meetings. That's not the way to do this. This is really, you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste the employer's time either. So make sure you know what the company's doing. Look at their events or news page, their mission, look at information about what they do. Same as what positions can I apply for. It's listed in the Career Fair website, whether that's on Handshake or Career Fair Plus. It'll tell you what kind of positions they have open. You're not going to say, can you get me the job? That puts them on the spot a little bit. By building that relationship with the recruiter and the employer, they know you're there to get a job. They know that's your goal, but you have to show them your qualifications and still go through that regular interview process. This is not the time to talk about salary and benefits. That comes up when you do have within the formalized interview and negotiation process. And again, make sure you do your research on those companies. So then how do you prepare to actually meet with the company? You want to make sure you dress professionally. So these are some examples of how you can dress for a career fair. You want to make sure you are not wearing a hoodie and a baseball cap. You know, be dressed professionally. You do not have to wear a suit if you don't have one. You can also borrow, feel free. This is, borrow from roommates, go to thrift shops, go to Marshall's or Target. They all have really good, if it's a financial issue, get a nice blouse or a nice button-down shirt. Just look professional, business casual / business professional. And then when you want to make sure you're projecting a professional image. So make sure remember there are no virtual backgrounds in Career Fair Plus or Handshake. So if you have a really busy background or non-professional background, hang a sheet up in the background or try to go to a different location if you can. Make sure your screen background is just neat and clean, because if they are distracted looking at all the pictures behind you on the wall or your posters trying to read what they say, they're not going to be focusing on you. Make sure you have good lighting and sound, your doors are closed, dress professionally and conservatively, neat and clean. I also want to address the fact that we all say it jokingly, but I know everyone does that with dressing because of Zoom, dressing formally from the waist up and just sweatpants or shorts or leggings on the bottom. Really encourage you to dress professionally head to toe. It will help you feel more confident. It'll help you feel more professional. It will also help if there are any unexpected challenges, like you drop your pen and or your resume and you need to move to go get it. And it's clear that you're wearing sweatpants, or your cat pushes your door open, and you need to run and shut the door because your roommate's watching TV in the other room and you can hear it. Really important. This is an example of a reporter that was on Good Morning America last spring, right when the pandemic started and everyone was getting used to Zoom. His name is Will Reeve, for any of you who might be Superman fans. His dad was actually Christopher Reeve, the original Superman in the 70s. But he was doing a report for Good Morning America. You can see his background's professional. He looks professional. He's in a button down and a suit jacket. And then Will Reeve put his leg up, and it looked like he wasn't wearing any pants. Right? It became this meme on the internet. He immediately responded and said, "They're shorts, I promise, they're just short shorts." But you don't want this to be you. Make sure you are dressed professionally head to toe. All right. So what's your game plan for the career fair? Do your research, sign up for your meetings on Career Fair Plus and Handshake. Make sure you do your notes on your employers to prepare. That way, if you have everything either in a Google Sheet, or I really do encourage a separate note card for each, because then right before that meeting, you can look specifically at that note card and say, okay, so this company's headquartered in Boston. They have 1,500 employees. They are hiring for these two positions, and this is their mission. It gives you a chance to show you're prepared. The fourth bullet there, this is a little tip we give you. Don't start with your first choice company, especially if you're really nervous, because we know that if you're going to meet with 5 or 10 companies, you probably will have a favorite. Meet with that company second or third if you can. Give yourself a chance to warm up, get those nerves out, realize that the recruiters are friendly, they're excited to meet you, and it lets you practice a little bit. So obviously we don't want you to meet with anyone you are not legitimately interested in working with. I'm not telling you to add extra companies, but as you are meeting with those employers, if you do have a real favorite, give yourself a chance to warm up. Clean up your social media beforehand. We affectionately call this the grammar rule. So anything, if you Google yourself, make sure that, because employers will Google you if they're ready to hire you, clean up that social media. Make sure if it's anything you wouldn't want your grandparents to see, it's not online. And then figure out what you're going to say. So talk about you. What's your elevator pitch? Practice this with your roommates or your parents or your friends. If you don't have anyone available live, use the Big Interview, which is a software app that you can find on a Career Center website that the UMass has purchased. You can record yourself answering questions and play it back to yourself. Record yourself on your phone, right? Then play it back to yourself. You can see your voice inflection. You can see your hand signals. You can see if you said something, want us to talk about it a little differently. You want to practice, but you also want to show your own personality, and you don't want it to sound like a speech. And then be flexible based on the conversation. Occasionally I'll meet with a student and they'll say, I had these 6 questions to ask the recruiters and I only got through 2 of them because the recruiter was talking. That's okay, that happens. You can feel free to let the recruiter at the end of your 10 minutes know that you had other questions and say, I really enjoyed talking to you. I had a few other questions. Is it okay if I email those questions to you? Or is it okay if I follow up with you in a couple weeks? I really love this company. I'm really interested in hearing more about it. So be flexible. It may not always go the way you want, and that's okay. So the important part is to really start to build that connection and try to make the best of that meeting. A couple other last minute tips. Make sure you're signed out a couple minutes early in case of technical issues. You don't want to find out your screen's not working, your headphones aren't working, you need to charge your laptop and you can't find your cord. Make sure everything is tested. Turn your cell phone off, or out of sight. Make sure your notifications are on. And if you have a smartwatch, do the same thing. I was doing a presentation in a in-person class last year, and I have a lot of siblings, and one of my siblings started a whole text chain. And all of a sudden, in the middle of my presentation, my wrist was going crazy. I literally just took off my Apple Watch and put it on the counter because I thought, you know what, this is distracting me. You want to make sure you have no distractions during your 10-minute meeting. Close your doors. If you have roommates, parents, pets, well, pets can't listen to the sign. Put out a sign on your door and say, do not interrupt in a career fair. Let people know that you need that privacy and you need that quiet. When you're meeting with recruiters, look them in the eye. Keep in mind that if you are looking them in the screen, I know it's complicated, like with Zoom, where they are on the screen may not be the same place that your camera is. So one tip I've heard from people is they put a Post-it note next to the camera on their laptop or iPad and say, look here. Because if you want to look into the camera as much as possible so that you are actually they see you looking at them, if that makes sense. Show your confidence. If you're not confident, I love, if you don't have that confidence to start, just practice. I love that saying, fake it till you make it, because I think with confidence, that really does make a difference. If you take some deep breaths, stay positive, and show your own personality. Thank them for their time. Keep in mind, these recruiters, especially if they're coming for a 3 or 4 hour career fair, they may be meeting with 30 students. They may be tired. And they love doing this. They wouldn't do this for their job if they didn't love doing it, but thank them for coming. Acknowledge that they took time out of their busy day to meet one-on-one with UMass students. So you can say, I really appreciate you meeting with us. We love that you come here. It means a lot to us as students. That we are all adapting to this virtual world, hopefully temporarily. But recognize that, and that can go a long way. And keep in mind, you do not have to use those full 10 minutes. If you have come to a natural progression and you've gone 7 minutes in, the recruiter doesn't have any other questions for you, you don't have questions, you can say, thank you so much for your time. I'll give you another minute to prep, a couple minutes to prep before your next student. Thank you so much. But do not just drop off your resume and run. Do not use 2 of those 10 minutes. That really does waste a whole slot that could have gone to another student. So make sure you are taking full advantage of as much of the time as possible. And then what do you do afterwards, after the career fair? Organize your notes. Just like when I mentioned doing note cards beforehand, you'll start to forget as you get into exams and homework and emails and activities. Right after the career fair, organize your notes. Take notes about who you met with, who the recruiters were. Make sure you send thank you emails within a day of the event, whether through emails or LinkedIn. If you spoke about the Red Sox, if you spoke about your chemistry class, reference that. Say, I really enjoyed talking to you about, my organic chemistry class. Something specific to you that will be memorable if you have one is great. If you think of something you forgot to mention, give them that other information too. That can be helpful in the long run. When we talk to recruiters, they say maybe 30 to 40% of students send thank you emails or connect on LinkedIn afterwards, but they remember those students. If it comes down to you and one other person, if you're trying to get an internship or job, that may be what puts you over the edge, the fact that they know you have those professional courtesy skills. And be gently persistent. This does not mean to contact them weekly until you get the job. That means that let them know you're interested. Reach out to them in a couple of weeks, or reach out to them in a few months. If you're interested in something for the next summer. It does not always happen the first time. There may be an internship you're really interested this summer, but you're just not the most qualified candidate. Try again next summer. We have had students tell us that it takes them 3 summers to get the one they want, or they didn't get an internship with a company, but then they got a full-time position with that company. So keep that relationship going. Reach out to that recruiter on LinkedIn if you don't get the internship and say, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview or to meet with you. I'd really love to try again for an internship next year. That motivation and that interest in a company does make a difference. All right, any questions on what I've shown you so far? Feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourselves. We good? Okay. Couple wrap-ups as you are prepping for their career fairs. You want to make sure you do have a solid resume. If you haven't written a resume or you're not confident in the resume that you do have so far, you can stop in to see our career peer advisors. They are fantastic. And they have drop-in hours Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In addition, if you prefer to see one of myself or one of the other career advisors in our office, you can make an appointment on Handshake. It's just umass.joinhandshake.com. We are booking about a week out at this point, unfortunately, though. So if you want a resume for the upcoming internship fair, you'll definitely want to stop and do the drop-in hours, and they are fantastic. They've all been trained really well. The career fairs this year are the Boston Area Internship Fair is this Wednesday. It has I think 15 different organizations for students of all majors. Great opportunity if you are going to be in the Boston area this summer to look and see what those internships are. It is all of these, because these are virtual, right? Some of them are virtual positions, some of them are in-person positions. And then using Career Fair Plus, we have the Just-in-Times Job Fair and the Psychology Career Fair. And all students of all majors are able to attend all career fairs. The Just-in-Time Fair is for full-time positions, that is geared towards seniors. I also encourage you to think broadly. For example, if you are, the Psychology Career Fair is also going to have UMass Medical School admissions there, and Western New England Law School there, and an FBI representative will be there. So we have a lot of different opportunities. Take a look at all of the different career fairs, even if you're not a psychology major. We had BCT majors go to the engineering fair and the civil engineering fair, who are recruiting those majors as well in February. So keep in mind, cast a wide net, as we say, and look broadly at the opportunities. So these upcoming career fairs that we have, as I mentioned, the summer and fall internship fair that is coming this Thursday, great opportunity to take advantage and learn about internships. The Just-in-Time Fair for seniors is Thursday, April 15th. And our Psychology Career Fair, which I am one of the organizers of, on Friday, April 23rd, and we're up to 35 employers and graduate schools there right now. And I will hang around for questions if anyone has any other questions. Happy to meet with you. Send me emails if you have any questions. We really encourage you to take advantage too of the resources on our CNS Career Center website. It's cns.umass.edu/careers. We are very hopeful we can meet you all in the fall in person back in Morrill. But for now, we are obviously on Zoom. As you can see, I'm in my living room. Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will be hanging out for a while. So thank you.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So you mentioned in the beginning about LinkedIn profiles.
Mhm.
Would you recommend that we should make one and have one ready beforehand?
I think it's a good, if you're comfortable with LinkedIn and using, career focused social media, absolutely. I would not think it's not a requirement, but I think LinkedIn can be a really helpful way to connect with recruiters, both going forward, currently and going forward. We found that especially with the pandemic, as there are no real in-person recruiting opportunities right now. More and more companies are posting internships and jobs and research opportunities on LinkedIn. It's a really helpful way to stay connected within the field. So you can connect with companies, you can follow organizations and groups, like there are student groups and industry groups on LinkedIn. So if you have a complete LinkedIn profile, I would definitely put that on your resume and show the recruiters that you have that. If you just have a really basic LinkedIn that you started and haven't done much with, I would leave that off until it is complete. Because if just like your resume, you want it to be something you're proud of, to show the recruiter that you have done a complete job in preparing it. But yes, absolutely. We do have on our website too, LinkedIn guidelines that you can do. Or you could also meet with an advisor or the peer advisors to get information about LinkedIn. Great question.
Okay, thank you. And
You're welcome.
will the recording for this meeting be available anywhere?
Yes, just send me an email and I will give you the recording.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
I had a question about the cover letter. Like,
Mhm.
you submit that with your resume? Because I created a cover letter for this company that I applied for an internship for, but there was no option to like send in the cover letter, so it's kind of just a waste, I guess.
Yeah, and that's really frustrating because we do encourage you to write cover letters for everything, but we have found there are a couple companies that don't ask for a cover letter or even allow it. So if you have a name of someone, you can always email them and say, you know, I created a cover letter for this position. Here's my cover that I applied for online already. Here's my cover letter and resume. But unfortunately, if you don't have a contact name for that, just think of it as a learning opportunity. And that way you'll know, it'll be easier to make your next cover letter because you've already done the formatting. But that is, unfortunately, some companies just want the resume.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I have a question.
Mhm.
Well, on April 1st, there's the Boston area internship fair.
Yes.
So I know it would take place in Boston. I assume that's what it means, but like, how far out are the companies that are going to it? Because I can't really go to an internship in Boston.
So that is a good question. So let's look at that list. I'm not 100% sure. I do know that what you can do is, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. So here is the handshake posting. Did it open up on the posting for the fair? Okay. So what you can do if you click on career fair details, this will tell you all of the companies that are attending. So Voya Financial is in New York, but they must have remote opportunities, which is why. So you can see here, same as Aflac, they must have remote opportunities. This one is in Newton at the JCC. This one is in Boston. You'll have to just look and see individually. This one is in Newton Center, Coach Up. This one is also in Newton. Because the Mount Ida campus, which is technically hosting it, is in Newton, I'm guessing many of them are in the Newton area.
Okay.
For Social Innovation is in Boston. The State Office of Environmental Affairs is in Boston. So you'll have to just look and kind of see if any of these are locations that you can get to. You may also find that some of them are remote, which would be a great opportunity if that's something that's more flexible for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And on Handshake, is there an easy way to is there a place to have a resume there?
Good question. So they sent an email. Let's see what this email says. I'm looking here. That is a great question. I would assume, I shouldn't assume, I suppose, but let me go back to the fair. Because I know in Career Fair Plus, you want to upload your resume. This is the first one we have done with Handshake. So what I would assume you could do is in Handshake in your profile, if you go up to your profile, mine says ES for Erin Student. That is my fake account. You can upload your resume in Documents. So if you go to Documents, you can upload your resume, and I would assume it would be accessible to employers there, and that way it's part of your Handshake account. But I would also have it prepared on your desktop, like on your laptop, on the day of the fair. That way they could email it. You can email it to them if they ask for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.